Okay, so I had a whole flowery intro about how, shipping, it's fun and all, but let's not be too crazy to just ease us into this. But no, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen my tweets, and if not, you should really follow me over there. I got some bangers. I'ma just be blunt. More specifically, she's going to be blunt. Because the whole victim blaming and gaslighting that's been going around this fandom towards Blitz to be with this horrendous pheasant is actually insane. So let's talk about it. And let's not just leave a generic "stop hating the show" comment without actually watching the video. It's funny. You'd think at this rate the don't watch community would just take their own advice. You would think. You would. Alright, you seem to have things under control. I'm just gonna leave you to it. And as for you guys, like that, subscribe, comment your share. Alright everyone, let's get in there. Does Blitz have the best romantic track record? Hell no. He had a falling out with his best friend / crush over an accident that left them both forever scarred, and took Veronica's money for horse riding lessons and a joyride. But Blitz tries to fill his lack of romantic love with other forms of it, familial with Luna and platonic with the M&Ms, and sometimes borderline romantic. Now, would it be nice for Blitz to have a significant other that would love him until his dying days? Of course, because as the audience, we would want what's best for him. But that doesn't mean he can't have love in other forms. And since he made amends with Fizz, his oldest and first friend, I'd say it's a good start for Blitz to reclaim the love he once had from his past. Maybe even make up with his estranged sister, because for whatever reason they don't talk anymore. I mean, we could speculate that it's because of the fire incident that killed their mother, which caused Barbie to nearly OD, and that's why she was in rehab, but at that point it's fan fiction. But it's great to see that Blitz is willing to put in the effort to have her back in his life. Blitz already has so much going on with his business, employees, daughter, and now rekindling the bonds of his once loved ones. In my opinion, getting into a romantic relationship right now might be too soon for him, especially if it's meant to be with Stolas. Oh, dude, you know how much I love love, and even I have to admit this ship is a disaster. Indeed, hearts. So let's go over the facts, shall we? Blitz and Stolas first crossed paths when they were children, with Paimon bringing Stolas to Blitz's family circus for his birthday. Stolas was smitten with the imp the first moment he saw him and was the only person to laugh at Blitz's jokes. Picking up on this, Paimon decided to buy Blitz for Stolas' birthday, which Cash Buxo agrees to and even guilts Blitz into doing it. And when he asks why, the answer is,
ew, why?
Because money!
You know what that reminds me of?
I'll pay you.
Pay me what?
Money.
Done!
Put a pin in that for later. With wanting to provide better for his family, especially for his poor mother, Blitz sadly agrees to be, and I quote, a playmate to steal from the Goetia family. While Blitz is nervous and uneasy about the day, Stolas is all too happy to have a new friend, even if he is completely bored of the owl and tricks him into stealing his valuables. They even have a fun time running around the castle, but they're not really bonding until we get to the tree scene, where the two talk about their respective futures, Stolas' duties for the Goetia family and Blitz wanting a big office for a circus of his own. He'd even consider hiring Stolas, and the two laugh and laugh and laugh, with the scene ending to a 25-year later smash cut. Now, I've mentioned before in my Stolas video that I feel that we missed out a lot of connections these two may still have during that time. I just find it a shame that we didn't learn what happened the next day, with the possible consequences of all the valuables being stolen and the circus being able to afford a better living. And the whole time with child Stolas just felt really forced to me. They didn't really start to have a bond until the very end, and even before that, Blitz was taking the lead while Stolas followed. It was like watching a one-sided improv act where one person is doing all the heavy lifting while the other is and-yesing the other to death. No wonder people think that these scenes feel like utter fanfiction and nearly pointless, since 25 years later, nothing has changed about these two, and they didn't even bother to stay in contact because, let's be real, why would child Blitz wish to keep hanging out with a boring bookworm unless to keep stealing from him for his own benefit? Also, it's never been mentioned or established in the series until season 2 started that they knew each other as kids, which again almost changes nothing about their dynamic and just adds a sob story for Stolas. The only details of importance was their arrangement of the grimoire, which brings us to their first night. I I enjoyed the attention to detail and foreshadowing of the morning scene as Stolas looks over his grimoire. We see a starry-eyed Blitz trying desperately to open the window for the book, and only the book. Later that evening, Blitz tried sneaking into Stolas' bedroom to steal the grimoire, which he somehow remembers from 25 years ago that it gives the user access to the human realm. He needs it in order to execute his immediate murder professional, or IMP business, of assassinating sinners' targets on Earth. If he really needs access to the human realm, why not just steal an Osmodian crystal from a random succubus in lust then? I'm sure he would have known about them since he dated a succubus who frequently travels between worlds, and it would seem less risky to kill off a succubus versus stealing from an Ars Goetia, no? Oh my dear, it's quite simple actually. No one thought that far ahead in the writing process. But plot holes aside, Blitz was supposed to be in and out, shrouded in the cover of night, while everyone was distracted with the not divorce party. It was the perfect heist, until he got caught by security and brought directly to Stolas to be dealt with accordingly. Blitz, unsure of what to expect, tries to talk his way out, but Stolas shuts him down, claiming to know exactly why the imp is here.
You were here to ravish me, weren't you? You?
Hold up! The last time they saw each other was on Stolas' birthday, when his father bought Blitz for him and the little clown stole from him under the orders of his own father. Stolas was completely unaware of what was going on, thinking that it was some sort of imp game. Yes, that is exactly what happened. And to this day, I just cannot understand how Stolas didn't realize this as he got older, or how he wasn't punished for the countless amount of valuables Blitz was able to steal. And thinking that this imp who stole from you is here for some fun in the sheets is just, it's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb!
While Blitz is confused and audibly disgusted, he takes it as a new opportunity to get the book by playing along and flirting back with Stolas, who, unsurprisingly, has no game and gets flustered. Blitz, following the stumbling book, ends up on the bed with Stolas, and just before he notices his grimoire is missing, bites Stolas to redirect his focus, which, unfortunately for Blitz, unleashes all the repressed desires that's been building in Stolas for years and starts going along with this strange foreplay, all while romantic music plays. Again, to Blitz's discomfort.
Get it all the way through me, you... Oh, stop it.
So he ties him down, blindfolds him, and starts making his way out with the book in hand. It was touch and go there for a second, but now that Blitz got what he came here for, he can make a quick escape and head back to business with no problems whatsoever.
The one who wants me is my first ever friend.
Oh, god damn it. Blitz actually caved into that and gave Stolas a pity night, didn't he? Yes, he did. But he didn't plan on this. You could argue that Stolas unknowingly, emotionally manipulated Blitz into doing this. Because if not for Blitz's own past of having feelings for his first friend and crush, I doubt he would have fucked Stolas then. Yes, I see. But there was no way of Stolas knowing about Blitz's past with Fizzaroli. But the writing did, so using that as a gateway for Stolitz's first night feels just kinda gross to me. And Stolas declares to Stella that this is a sign of them getting a divorce, only for said divorce to come months later. Utterly delusional. Alright, just so we're clear here, after that one night, Stolas was the one that had the wrong idea about their relationship. Stolas sets the terms of their arrangement for the monthly nights of
passionate fornication,
which Blitz, while trying not to die, had no choice but to agree to. Because if he doesn't, that's his business and his employees' source of income on the line. Yes, exactly. Blitz has a history of having to bend to the wills of those in power over him just to secure a living. And even if the arrangement wasn't of a sexual nature, say monthly dinner dates instead, that's still coercion because Stolas holds the power in their dynamic. Ah, yes, glad you're using that brain for something. Now remember that pen I mentioned in Lululand? Stolas is able to persuade Blitz with money so IMP can be his bodyguards. using his financial status to convince an assassin to play bodyguard, which we know he didn't need. He just wanted an excuse to flirt with Blitz when he was meant to be bonding with his neglected daughter. Blitz needs his book to run his business, and Stolas knows that, despite it being illegal in the first place. By the time we get to the ending of Ozzy's, Stolas realizes he has actual feelings for Blitz that the imp doesn't reciprocate. And honestly, why would he? The entirety of their interactions at this point can be boiled down to Stolas aggressively flirting with Blitz or belittling him due to his species or class. If he really doesn't care that Blitz is of a lower station, then what's with the constant abuse of his own imp servants and talking down to the imps in wrath? Oh man, I fear it was never about them being of two different classes, because then Fizz and Tex dating two deadly sins would have more of an impact instead of something people just accept with no problem. Sure, Mammon says there will be consequences to Ozzy's affair, but what about B, who's dating a class below imps? We're meant to believe that there will be consequences, but they never come or come too late to actually mean anything. Yes, all this edging for little to no climax to be had is frustrating. Really wish you hadn't put it like that, but yeah. Now do you understand where I'm coming from? It just sounds like Stolas has an imp fetish to me. But hey, what do I know? At least I don't own a book titled Imp in the Sheets and read it at the dinner table with the daughter I've neglected and one-dimensional wife present. And yet, with all of this, people want to blame Blitz for leading Stolas on that night and giving him the wrong idea about them? I'm sorry. What? Blitz has made it very clear throughout the show when he's uncomfortable with Stolas' advances, but doesn't take Blitz seriously when he needs to. Stolas has been seeing it all as a game, so in what way is it Blitz's responsibility when Stolas is as dense as a brick wall to ignore the obvious signs of Blitz's discomfort? That is consent 101, babes. Those 4 eyes must be for aesthetics because they ain't seeing shit, at least not until the night at Ozzy's, when Blitz lays it out for him, clear as day.
Don't act like what we have is anything but you wanting me to fuck you, okay? You make that really clear all the time.
So what? That makes Stolas sympathetic for realizing that the imp he's been toying with for months now may not love him back? No shit, it doesn't. Exactly. Now, to take a further look into Blitz's perspective on Stolas, we gotta look back at his hallucination in Truth Seekers. Blitz sees himself as a classic bleached out clown being scolded by a scribbled Moxie as well as Stryker, Verosika, and Fizz, toying with his self-worth and incompetence of running a business. Either it's his job or friends, Blitz has a general fear of being alone, not just romantically. Stryker represents Blitz's desire to run his assassination business as successful as he can solo. Fizz being the lingering heartbreak of his past due to jealousy and Blitz's own inability to make it as a clown, and Verosika, having been Blitz's most recent partner, showcases how self-destructive and unstable his love life is, and his inability of being vulnerable. All of them are also voiced by Blitz, which echoes how he thinks they perceive him. And finally, we have Stolas at the top of a prestigious staircase with 2 Blitz servant silhouettes at his side as they fan him. As Blitz approaches the stairs and on escapes the murky and dirty images of his past, the golden feathers cleanse him into his usual outfit, but they also adorn him in chains. The message is as clear as scribbled Moxie says. Blitz craves intimacy, but doesn't know how to handle it, which is said as he's chained and dragged up to Stolas, which personally I've read as Blitz seeing Stolas as another possible mistake in fear of having to bend to the will of someone more powerful than him to escape his problems of the lower class. The sequence ends with all the voices telling Blitz he'll die alone as he's covered in feathers, screaming from frustration and a desire to be set free. The feathers, I believe, are meant to represent Stolas and the hold he has on Blitz, his autonomy, his voice, his power. While the owl could provide for him, Blitz would be living in a gilded cage, a pampered plaything with no say otherwise. He'd risk losing his comfortability. It's kind of like a less ideal version of Fizzaroli and Ozzy. That's so tragic. But while Blitz doesn't want to end up alone, why should he have to settle for a prince that treats him poorly? Even if he's the only company that he may be left with, I'd rather he be single than with Stolas. Some lotion and a good mag would do him just as well, if not better than that bird. Agreed again, but phrasing. Can I finish? Someone deserves to. When Stolas comes to save them from dorks, he still refers to Blitz as his impish plaything. And seeing his immense powers firsthand had Blitz taken aback and nervous until approaching him about needing to be more careful. Once they're all safe and back home, Stolas asks for a thanks for the rescue, which Blitz supposed that he should, rewarding Stolas with a night of sex outside of their deal. Even when he saves Blitz and IMP, Stolas still expects something from him. Honestly, this could have been an interesting moment of Stolas not expecting a thanks at all from Blitz and just saved him because it actually shows he likes him. And if it was Blitz that just expected him to reward the rescue with sex instead. The night at Ozzy's was simple. Blitz wanting to spy on the M&Ms and needing a +1 to get into the club, so he calls Stolas to help get him in and proceeds to ignore him while Stolas is nervously trying to make a conversation. Okay, now this one I'll have to give to Stolas, since Blitz half-heartedly agreed that it was a date and was really looking forward to actually bonding with him. However, Blitz is used to their give-and-take relationship and didn't think much of it, still showing no interest in Stolas whatsoever. Which only makes matters worse as Fizz and Ozzy calls them out for their affair. And Stolas does nothing but hides his face in shame, solidifying further to Blitz that what they have isn't anything special, and that Blitz just assumably ruined a happy home. Cause how is he supposed to know that Stella is abusive? With such a dramatic turn, you'd think that these two would be tiptoeing around each other, walking on eggshells or something to imply that that night affected their view of each other and their relationship. Nope! The next time these two are on screen, they just go back at it business as usual. No mention of Ozzy's, no attempt to bring it up on either of their parts, just flirting to encourage the other to get their shit together. And the text messages hardly count since they were shown in a quick blink and you'll miss it moment. So there was some sort of an attempt, but there still isn't a resolution because Blitz is keeping his distance and shutting Stolas out. They both suck at communication, I get it, but I don't see Blitz in the wrong for keeping Stolas at an arm's length after everything he's put him through. So we asked Twitter and Tumblr a very simple question. Does Blitz like or even love Stolas? The answers either came back as simple as no or yes, accompanied with a various amount of asterisks explaining Blitz is emotionally closed off right now. And we all know why he's closed off, and not just to Stolas, but also Verasika. Personally, I think she's the missing piece we need to know more about to fully understand what causes Blitz to have these self-destructive tendencies. Did the relationship reach a serious point of commitment that Blitz just couldn't handle, or was he too afraid to mess it up? Is that why he robbed Verasika and went on a horse joyride? Because it would be easier to end the relationship if she did it instead of him? We know Verasika has a now crossed out heart tattoo with Blitz's name in it, so she must have really loved him, which seems so out of nature for a succubus. There's so much we don't know yet that could help fill in these gaps as to who Blitz is as a romantic partner, but the best we have to go off on is just pure speculation. Okay, but even if Blitz somehow manages to regain the trust and love of his friends and family, yet still earns a romantic partner, he has every right to have someone that would love, respect, and cherish him. Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Of course, we agree. Anyone but Stolas. Their foundation of a relationship, romantic or otherwise, was built on lies, desperation, manipulation, and plain lust. Yes, Blitz stole from him twice and just used him to get into a club to spy on his employees. Yes, Stolas has been racist and classist towards Blitz and imps alike. Yes, these two are very flawed characters that have hurt each other. However, I find Stolas' treatment of Blitz far worse because not only for his higher class, but the impact of the damage he's done. At worst, Blitz robbed a rich guy and just needed a +1 to get into a club and just ended up ignoring him. Meanwhile, Stolas has constantly belittled, disrespected, publicly embarrassed, and harassed Blitz, all while ignoring his discomfort or thinking of it as a game. That's outlandish! That's a pretty big word for you. I should lend you my thesaurus more often. I think what Hearts is trying to say is, they're both capable of hurting each other. They both suck at communication, but the damage is nowhere near equal. That's like if I slapped you and you broke my leg. We both hurt each other, but clearly one was more severe than the other. But I'm expected to make amends with you even though you put me in the damn hospital? Okay, it was one time. What kind of sense does that make? It just feels like the fandom expects Blitz to own up to his responsibility for making Stolas fall in love with him, when no, he shouldn't, and that's not entirely his fault. If they want to use the example of Blitz being a sex worker in exchange for the book, that's all fine and dandy until you remember how the arrangement of the deal came about. Stolas calls Blitz at the worst time while he's on a mission, pumped up on adrenaline from running away from a crazed housewife with a shotgun. Blitz agrees to the monthly nights of
passionate fornication.
But we could argue that though he gave his consent, it was under stressful circumstances where he wasn't given the time to fully comprehend what he was agreeing to. That's like getting consent from a person who's intoxicated. They said yes, but they were not in the right state of mind to give their full consent. Blitz was running for his life, trying to hold a conversation with a prince whose grimoire he still has in his possession, which Stolas needs back to do his job, and as he says,
"The book I was given to do my job, that I have allowed you to use to do yours."
And that's why a lot of people question the consensual nature of this deal and rightfully feel disgusted by Stolas' actions. He took advantage of Blitz in a dire situation just so he could have monthly imp dick for the book. And while yes, Stolas wasn't aware that Blitz was in danger when he called him, but as soon as he could answer, Blitz tells him in a panic, whispery voice,
"Stolas, this is a really bad time."
And his response was to play coy with Blitz, not asking why it's a bad time, not wondering why he's whispering, just saying,
When isn't it a bad time, Blitzø?
Notice how this is the first of many times the show subtly excuses Stolas' actions. He wants to seal a monthly deal with Blitz at the worst time. He exclaims about being wanted by his first friend, which mirrors Blitz and Fizaroli's falling out. It's just always a bad time or a happy coincidence in Stolas' favor, but not Blitz's? Okay, I hear you. The way I see it, Stolas' constant babying, condescending, and mistreatment of imps doesn't make any sense as to why Blitz would want to be with him. Logically. Even as a last resort, Blitz deserves someone better than whatever the hell this is. Because the first time Stolas ever took Blitz seriously was the night after Ozzy's. Blitz being very annoyed and pissed to have gotten shown up by both of his exes, the sin of lust, and what did Stolas do in response to being outed for his own affair that's his fault for all of this? Not a goddamn thing, and acts surprised when Blitz finally puts his foot down.
Don't act like what we have is anything but you wanting me to fuck you, okay? You make that really clear all the time.
Because at this point in the series, is he wrong? All their interactions involved the arrangement and off-screen texting and Stolas' attempt to get closer to Blitz that we don't learn about until season 2. Yes! It's one of Helluva Boss's major flaws, telling and not showing. We're told that Stolas tries being nice to Blitz, comments on his photos, and laughs at his jokes, but with the exception of that last one, we don't see any of that. But you know what we do see? Stolas constantly harassing Blitz, making him visibly uncomfortable, and embarrassing him in public. Stolas would be sitting all alone on the couch looking miserable during the weekend, while Blitz could be big chilling on his couch, enjoying his own company. He ain't thinking about Stolas, not one bit. The pictures in their phones also reflect this. Stolas' pictures are of an uninterested and bored imp. In a picture Blitz has after one of their nights together, people have pointed out that he is smiling. However, I'd argue that it doesn't read as a joyful smile, more like one filled with sorrow and pity, especially compared to the massive cocky grin on Blitz's face when he was with Verosika and the bright smile when he was with Fizz. Stolas is nowhere near the same level of importance as those two were to Blitz, but the narrative is making him seem so otherwise. Blitz telling Fizz,
Stolitz only cares about having a rugged peasant raw dog him into his mattress. It's nothing else. I mean, Stolitz is just a loud, thirsty bitch who loves feeling the thrill of getting dicked by the lower class. It's a novelty to him.
As if Blitz is oblivious and doesn't realize that Stolas is trying to be more than just their arrangement, as something genuine would be rightfully confusing to him. Not just because Blitz is bad at reading romantic signs, yeah he is, but because it's coming from the demon prince that's been treating him like a plaything, and the only time Blitz can exert his power is in the bedroom. Okay, I think I got it from here, guys. Y'all, I get the angle Helluva boss wanted to go for. Two very flawed strangers hurting each other while also desiring something more. But thanks to the circus, poor execution, and off-screen hidden detailing, their whole dynamic loses that nuance, and not to mention, Stolas, as a higher ranked demon, holds the power in their relationship. People tend to excuse Stolas' actual power since he's the bottom, but I'll tell you right now, that shouldn't be dismissed no matter who tops. You wouldn't excuse Stella's cruelty towards Stolitz just because she's a woman now, would you? Because you know what Stolitz reminds me of? The South Park episode Raisins, where in the B-plot, Butters thinks that he had a real special relationship with one of the workers at Raisins, and not realizing that she didn't care for him at all. She was just doing her job to get him to keep spending money at the restaurant. Stolas is Butters, and Blitz is Lexus. Since it was work, as so many of you would love to say, Blitz was just doing his job and did it well. Why should it be on him that Stolas grew feelings? That's such the anime equivalent of, oh, you made me hard, now take responsibility. Like, what? That's gross! The only real chemistry that these two seem to have is if it's in the bedroom. They have a give and take relationship. Blitz exchanges for the book so he could keep running his business while having to give Stolas satisfaction for it. Stolas saves IMP from dorks and expects something from Blitz and gives it to him as a thanks. Stolas is trying to make a hoe into a housewife, but he is not interested and finds him revolting because while Stolas sees them tied via the strings of faith, Blitz is chained to his majesty in order to secure a somewhat comfortable living. While I, for one, like to think that the writers didn't intend to make Blitz's narrative of victim blaming and needing to console and keep his abuser happy in order to live his own life, but in an effort to change the story to make these two endgame, that's the vibe it's giving, which makes a lot of people rightfully uncomfortable. We all know that because of the merch that these two are gonna be together, to some people's delight and to others' disappointment, because personally, I believe Blitz deserves better than Stolas. He deserves to have a romantic relationship with someone with a clean slate and not on a foundation of classism, racism, ignorance, manipulation, and so on. I'd also encourage y'all to look at Stolas from the perspective of SA survivors and victims, as well as actual sex workers. They can attest firsthand how uncomfortable this ship can be and how revolting it is to see people find countless excuses to justify Stolas' actions and so quick to victim blame Blitz. There's fiction and there's reality, but once you start applying fictional rules to reality, it becomes increasingly concerning to see the lengths people would go to justify a ship. I don't mean to shame Stolitz shippers, like what you like, but you're kidding yourselves if you can't admit that it's toxic and understand why people don't ship them. Perhaps it's interesting to see such a dynamic of an upper class prince with a peasant for you guys, but I lost all interest of that once they started woobifying Stolas. But hey, the two could totally stay as fuck buddies if they wanted. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all, huh? What do you say, guys, huh? Fuck buddies? Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds safer. Yeah, they can totally stay pegging each other. But now that Stolas has the Osmodian crystal to give to Blitz to free him of their arrangement, the ball is back in his court. Logically, Blitz should just take the crystal and peace out of Stolas' life so he can continue his job and finally be his own boss again. On the other hand, the writing might push Blitz to be hesitant in accepting the crystal since he knows that once he does, he won't have to have those monthly nights with Stolas anymore, leaving him alone. Oh, not the Stockholms taking an effect, oh no! Or, worst case scenario for the antis, Blitz rejects the crystal and gives some sappy bullshit speech that keeps him tied to Stolas. Oh honey, no, that's just bad business. Well, that's just mine or our take on another aspect of a silly demon show that's best not to be taken too seriously and avoid witch hunting people who dare to have different opinions than yours based on your own life experiences. So tell me yours in the comments. How do you feel about Stolitz if you ship them? And may I ask why? She asked in the most judgmental free way possible. I'm just curious. Yes, please let us know your thoughts in the comments. And sorry we had to step all over each other's toes for this one. It's just gets a little crazy in here sometimes. It's best to express it and have this kind of a dialogue, you know? Your dialogues are making me nauseous. I'm out of here. Hey, wait up! Yeah, I gotta deal with that. These two, I swear. New year, new me, am I right?